which particular area of the syllabus would you like to highlight as being particularly challenging for the students? That's your experience.
Yes. I mean, most students would probably find that the area of aviation legislation is one of the challenging ones for students. It's because it's a very dry subject. It's because legislation, of course, you cannot talk about legislation without using very large words, and it can seem to the student as a very complex and intertwined matter. It is the measure of a good lecturer that they can make sense of aviation legislation to the benefit of the student. Sometimes we do find that some students are more mechanically minded than avionically minded, so they might find a bit of difficulty with the sort of electrical, electronic subjects and so on. And it's generally true that each student will find a challenge at one of the modules or other. Let's say I would highlight that possibly aviation legislation is one of the most unique because of its very nature. It's all theoretical, and it's bound in legislation which changes quite rapidly.
Plenty of legal parlance that means nothing.
It's been written by solicitors, so it's not easily understood.
Is there a warning you would like to heed out to the students that are becoming in January?
I would say
next module.
I would say not just for the module 10. There was a very interesting posting that was put on an aviation engineer's website by some students from AST. And they said that, yes, the course is demanding, it's very interesting, it's exciting. However, they said, if students do not undertake a minimum of 2 to 3 hours revision each weekday night, they're not going to meet with huge success in the exam. So there is a need for students to undertake their own study in their own time, preferably in groups, because this helps them to revise. The benefit is that the examinations are taken at the end of the module, so it's not like having a huge examination at the end of a 2-year course. Nonetheless, they will find that subjects like mathematics and physics and electrics will keep coming up again and again in future subjects. So it's important that they do read up on earlier material and keep it fresh in their mind, because that will then help them to understand more easily the later subjects.
Would you say that is a habit that will develop and be useful for them, because they will need to keep reading up in perpetuity as long as they are in this industry?
Yes, I mean, they're learning throughout the whole of their career. I mean, once they have the aircraft maintenance engineer's license, they then have to undertake type rating examinations and training. As an engineer, they will be expected to keep a logbook throughout their career. There may be other examinations for them to take, type ratings. There will be annual update examinations and training on various aspects, from human factors to the aircraft systems. So it's a good habit to get into, to keep yourself up to scratch on the aircraft and the legislation.
In case some students may want to know, you say it's dependent on type rating. Whenever a new aircraft is introduced, they have to go through the whole training again.
Yes.
Or if they want to go and learn about some other model.
Yes.
On average, how often does a major model come in, like for example the new Airbus?
Well,
how often are we looking at something major?
New aircraft, I mean, new aircraft are released, new aircraft types. If you look across the margins at general aviation, the air transport industry, helicopters, you probably find that every 2 to 3 years there will be a new type will enter into a market. But in the terms of the type training, once they have the basic license, in order to certify on an aircraft, they would need the type rating. So even if the aircraft model was a very old one, like the Airbus 319, they would still need to do the type training on it. So it doesn't matter whether it's a new aircraft or an old aircraft, they must have the type rating in order to be able to certify that aircraft. So the type rating is something that every time they wish to add a new type to their license, they must undertake the approved type training and examinations.
Right. I know you've been asked many times this question. Why would you recommend a diploma in aircraft maintenance engineering to students and parents?
I think the main drive behind this is the fact that it does match the Part 66 syllabus, so it gives students a good understanding of the standards of Part 66. It offers them the ability to take the approved examinations, which is an obvious bonus there. but also because it offers practical training. We've talked about the industry partners who will offer hands-on practical training on operational aircraft. There are many diploma and certificate courses that don't do that. They are purely theoretical courses. Well, you know, it may come as a surprise to some people, but most engineers will tell you you cannot read a book and be an engineer. It's only with the hands-on. It's when they graduate from the college with their diplomas, that's when their learning really begins. And now they have to apply what they've learned in a wider context and on individual aircraft types.
And in this case, the students will be graduating with degrees under the fingertips.
Oh yes, they will do the experiential training will be a part. It will allow them to put into practice what they've learned in the theory lessons.
I know you have told us much about this, but how would you describe the prospects in both the short and long term for the graduates?
I think in the short term, they will find themselves readily employable, principally because they will be offering any potential employer a thorough grounding in aircraft maintenance, aircraft systems, knowledge, and so on. They will be offering themselves with, hopefully, the full run of Part 66 modules required for an individual license category, which means they only then need to meet the experience requirement and they can apply for the engineering license to be issued. But also, of course, in the longer term, specifically if they look at also doing the BSc degree, what they will be offering in the longer term is moving into supervisory and managerial positions because they've started from scratch. So if they started here at the age of 18, by the time they're sort of 24, 25, they will be looking at being a certifying engineer. By the time they're in their 30s, they will have a good understanding of aircraft maintenance and maintenance principles, and they would then be ready to look at a supervisory role as a maintenance manager or maintenance supervisor, or indeed a higher management role as they go through their career.
Sorry, as it stands right now, you would say that the remuneration rewards is very high for this industry.
Most parts of the industry, the salaries for aircraft maintenance engineers would be of a very high order, because good quality engineers, particularly those with the right certification, at the moment are difficult to find. So at the moment the remuneration, the salaries are very competitive to a number of other high-paying industries. What effect the increase in maintenance engineers will have on salaries, it certainly won't make them any less, but it may well cap the rate. At the moment we're seeing the rates going up very, very quickly, and companies who need a specific engineer with a specific license combination will pay very handsomely for that person's services.
I know earlier you mentioned that many people, the initial perception with aviation is the glamour of the cabin crew,
Yes.
the pilots. But in your expert opinion, what is the best aspect of being involved as an aircraft maintenance personnel?
I think the thing is that it's a very dynamic industry. Even the oldest aircraft have the most modern avionics on board. And if a young person is interested in engineering and in aviation, and particularly aviation engineering, it means that they will work with some of the most modern technologies seen anywhere. It gives them the opportunity to travel. So if they need to conduct aircraft maintenance elsewhere, there's quite a lot of staff travel involved. It gives them the ability to assimilate knowledge and to gain an expertise, so that when an unusual aircraft fault occurs, they can quickly, efficiently and safely sort that out. And it's a great buzz when you have an aircraft fault, the passengers are there waiting to fly, and you can use your skills and knowledge to recover the aircraft and get it back on track, back on time. It's always nice when an aircraft lifts off that you have certified, and when it comes back the captain says that was fine, there was nothing wrong with that. It's very rewarding.
The second last, sorry. Yeah.
And I would say that places like Nilai International University College, with its accommodation, with its cost base and its location, it's ideally placed for things like Chinese students.